Welcome to another program called A Conversation with Senator Michael Moore. My name is Kevin Byrne, and Senator Moore is our state senator representing the 2nd Worcester District, which includes Shrewsbury and a lot of other places.
Which includes the town of Shrewsbury, but I understand you guys are studying whether you want to become a city.
No,
you're not.
No. Somebody says we're doing that, but we're not doing that.
Okay.
I have said no.
Is there not a study commission
I'm
established?
A king, okay? We're not going to do that. We're never going to become a city. Oh, God help us. All right, in any event, the last program we did, Liz tells me, was in March.
Yes.
This is July. And, you know, back in March, I got beat up a little bit and had to kind of take a break. And then I said, well, the break's all over now. I'm ready. And I called and they said, well, the studio's closed because we were totally rehabbing almost all of the equipment here, including these new cameras, which are now these tiny little cameras that are looking at us, okay? But in any event, Michael, we're back. And I said, oh, July, what are we going to talk about? And all of a sudden it dawned on me, July was the budget. And for the first time in my memory, which is very long when it comes to local politics, okay, and my awareness of what happens, not only locally here in Shrewsbury, which is a town, is what happens under the Golden Dome. And I never remember, in my fervent mind, a budget being completed and presented on June 30th. That's amazing. And then, on the 4th of July, Maura Healey signs a 61 point, well, she didn't sign the 61 million, but you presented her with a $61 billion budget in great detail, okay?
Yes. Yep.
That's absolutely amazing. And I said, oh my God, there's something to talk about in July. This whole new process. It was presented to her. She played with some of it. She vetoed some of the stuff that's in it, but not overwhelming. Well, it's overwhelming to the people who.
I was just going to say, to the people who got vetoed this, yeah.
There it is. Anyway, okay. And there we are. And it is very detailed. Now.
Yes.
Your communications director is a guy named Alex Motafian.
Correct.
I did it right.
You did it right.
Alex, I did it right. Okay. And realizing it was a holiday weekend and nobody was working. Okay. And I'm retired, so I wasn't working anyway. Okay. And so finally, yesterday I said, I emailed him and I said, Alex, some stuff for the program tomorrow. And he said, I'm doing it right now. I'll get it to you shortly. So earlier this morning, I click on it, and there it was. All 27 pages of it. And I emailed my man back, and I said, you have now broken a record, Alex. You've given me 27 pages worth of talking stuff, okay? You do realize that with 27 pages, the program's only 27 minutes long. And he emailed me back, and he went, I know you, Kevin. I know you'll be able to handle it with your usual finesse. And so there we are. We have and the 27 pages is candidly the budget. It's everything in the budget.
Yeah. Well, it's actually,
What?
it's the budget.
Yeah.
It's also when we did the fair share
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
legislation,
But
which
it's
again,
everything that came about on June 30th, right?
well, no, the fair share was done probably the beginning of June.
Beginning of June. Wow, and it went right out to the
Yeah,
governor.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Congratulations for
thank you.
doing all of that.
yeah, no, it's been,
Busy time out
for those that don't think we are busy,
under the golden dome. Okay, and she also did it. Did I read in the newspaper? She did a revised budget that she wants for something or other. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. All right, with 27 pages,
yes.
let's pick and choose.
Well, before we hit the budget,
Yeah.
which is a relief to know that we do have people that watch the show, because we had some people call in that requested we go over the crumbling foundations from our March show that we never finished.
You are kidding me. Oh, isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, so let's start off there so we don't miss this.
This has been a cause of Mike Moore from the very beginning when people discovered it. Tell us about it.
Well, it's
Tell us about, give us some background on it, and more importantly, what you guys did, what you people did.
So basically, Ann Goby really spearheaded it before she left.
Yeah.
So pyrrhotite, it's a chemical. It's found in the ground. It's a naturally occurring chemical. No one knew really the effects of it when it's mixed in with the concrete. If the formula of pyrrhotite to water, if there's too much water that goes in, it can, in 15 to 20 years, it can cause the disintegration of the foundation, which is basically what's happened. Connecticut's had the problem. They've, to some of us, they've created a program that we should just copy, but and they've offered it out to us. The insurance that we could join, the process of raising the revenue, but the legislature would like to do a study. They'd like to study it to see how we can go about doing it, because this could be a very expensive proposition. Because basically, what happens is if your foundation's found to have it, it could result in a total replacement of the foundation.
Oh, sure,
And that's $200,000.
The publicity that's come out from the people who are there are talking about 6 figures.
Yes,
To
and
repair
the vein that's in the ground comes right up from northern Connecticut, right around through central Mass, right up to Newburyport and the North Shore. So Lowell now has had an incidence of it being found there, and I think it's a condo complex in Lowell. It's primarily residential, and it's really because there's less monitoring of the mixture on the residential homes, where on the commercial you have greater oversight of when they're mixing the concrete. So basically what the bill would do is establish a commission. It's going to be headed by Secretary Augustus to investigate crumbling foundations, and for him,
Secretary who?
Ed Augustus, of
Ed
Housing and Living
Augustus,
Communities, and they are going to make the recommendations on how to resolve the crumbling foundation issue. So I've got a bill that I worked on with the Department of Transportation. There's also Senator Peter Durant's bill, which his bill would create a crumbling foundation assistance fund to help homeowners repair and replace the pyrrhotite. It would cover repair costs, reimbursement, past expenses, and it aimed at minimizing some of the fiscal impacts. The bill that I have that I'm supportive of his bill, and that's what we had worked on last session. But this past budget cycle, the administration, DOT, came to me and they had their own version that, unlike Senator Durant's, like Senator Durant's, it creates a fund. But it went a little further in that it mandates training for building inspectors, it mandates inspections, it creates the fund, it creates the revenue source by a fee on a homeowner's insurance. That bill is still in committee. The Durant bill was reduced down in the budget to this commission, so now we have to wait to see what Secretary Gaustis and Housing and Livable Communities is going to come out with for a recommendation on this.
And that's a recommendation to you guys? To
Yes, that's going to be a recommendation to the legislature.
Okay.
So,
Are these people, I mean, are the concrete people who were doing the work, who I gather many of them were not aware that this,
they weren't. That's part of the problem we had.
that this was an issue.
That's part of the problem we initially had. We had some resistance
Yeah.
that, well, why should we be covering for the I don't want to say mistakes, but for the conduct of the gravel pits or the companies pouring the foundations.
Right.
And that's just the answer. No one knew. So no one knew at the time.
Okay.
And so now it's
Okay, so now do people know?
now people know, and
So
there's
if there's new construction, they're aware of the fact that there is this thing called pyrite.
yes, well, so that's part of the bill that I had that also called for additional training. Now, what did help me this issue did help me in passing another piece of legislation that became part of the budget, was the housing bond bill, was the right to homeowners inspections. So prior to this past year, you could waive, as your offer, you could waive your home inspection.
Right.
Well, now you can't.
Good.
And so this way, and this was part of my argument, is like, look, we got a situation here where you got people in my area that can go in, they can buy a house, you can see no sign,
Yeah.
but 10 to 15 years later on, they could have it, or you may see some cracks. There's got to be some way of ensuring that people have a right to a home inspection.
You know, we became very conscious of that last year when we were in the process of selling our house on Cape Cod, not Cod, Boston name, okay, in which we were aware of the fact that a lot of people were over, you'd put a price on your house and people were bidding over that price. And they were saying, well, I'll sell it to you if you waive your home inspection. And any lawyer in his right mind would be saying, don't you dare do that under any circumstance. Okay?
Yeah.
That's a great piece of legislation.
Thank you. And you'd have people, and so we had the home inspectors that came to my office, and they said, look, we're seeing a trend that people are doing this. They're making cash offers instead of financing, which you can't control that. If you have the resource, you have the resources. Sure. But then he's saying that you have the people who are still doing the financing that they're now making offers and they're waiving their right to a home inspection. Right. Think about it. Your biggest investment, other than your children, is your home.
Absolutely.
And if your home all of a sudden becomes worthless, and not to discredit the impact on families, because it's a horrible impact on your quality of life and the family's life and financial security. But are you going to start, and this is something we're going to do, if people are finding out that they have pyrite, are they going to start just packing up and leaving the house? I mean, you're almost better let the bank take over.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So now you're going to have,
no insurance. I mean, it was not covered by insurance. I assume that's still the case.
Yeah, no. So we had the insurance industry come in, and they weren't happy with the bill when I filed with DOT because it would require coverage. But and there's a legal case to back up the position that they are only required to cover it if the house collapses.
That's great.
So my
Isn't that great?
yeah. So I said, just wait a minute. So rather than addressing it before it collapses, well, the house is.
Insurance companies. I love them. I love them.
Yeah.
Really.
So
dealt with them for a whole bunch of years. Right.
Yeah. So that's what that is. So now we just got to wait for the Secretary of Housing and Livable Communities to come out.
That's great. Yeah. What other highlights in here? I'm not going through 27 pages of Alex's stuff as much as I love Alex.
All right, well, let's do some of the earmarks first.
Yeah.
So in the budget, I was able to get $500,000 for Veterans Inc.
Veterans Inc.
Yep, they run the residential program here in Shrewsbury
Yeah.
and in Worcester, and they're actually a New England based, one of the
Yeah.
largest providers for veteran services.
Yep.
We got $250,000 for firefighter cancer screenings,
That is really important.
and that goes
though.
back to the cities and towns.
Yeah.
And we all know that they have a high rate of cancer due to the PFAS that's been in their turnout care.
Right. Right.
$250,000 for the ecotarium for the animal care and zoo operations.
That's a great place. I haven't been in there for years.
Oh, it's amazing. They're
You've
trying.
been in there because I see you on Facebook, but I mean,
Well,
it's
with
a
the
wonderful
with the
place.
last redistricting, that section of Worcester now
Oh, you
became.
picked it up.
Yes, so it was
Oh.
so there's been a lot of deferred maintenance
Yeah.
that has not taken place. So
Yeah.
every year now, I'm trying to help get some funding to help restore it.
Oh, that's absolutely great.
Yeah.
You know, and I was there with our kids that were little, and it was a polar bear and not a whole lot else back in those.
So, just what you're saying is, and we got another 90,000 for the ecotarium. They have an after-school STEM education program for the kids in Worcester.
Oh, isn't that great?
Yeah. So, and actually throughout Central Mass. So, we got that for them. We also $80,000 for the Worcester Chamber of Commerce for student workforce shops. 21,000 for CASA, which is the court-appointed special advocates.
The Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce. Timmy Murray,
Yes.
one of my favorite guys. He runs a great operation.
He does.
Man. He really and truly does.
He's been speaking up quite a bit too on.
Yeah.
Well, actually, and then for Shrewsbury, we got $35,000 for a search and rescue vehicle and
Now,
12,000.
search and rescue means the lake?
Well, the police or your emergency management. So that would be the police, wouldn't it, or the fire?
Oh, no, but a search and rescue, I assume, is a boat.
Oh no, this is a vehicle. It's a motor vehicle.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then we got 12,000 for electronic voting equipment. But
I guess we always need that.
Yeah, and one thing Tim's been talking about, which he's absolutely right on, and
Who's been talking about?
that Tim Murray's been talking
Gotcha. Oh,
about,
yeah.
which he's absolutely right on, and we've been able to successfully stop it for the last several years, but the administration now, through I guess a reorganization or issuing of new regulations, the Department of Early and Secondary Education is going to a lottery system for the Voc schools, which there's really only been 2 Voc schools that have had an issue, but they're now, instead of making those 2 Voc schools change their process, they've changed the process that is, according to the others that have been successful, is not really going to benefit. It's probably going to hurt the students or hurt the vocational school system. And in all honesty, we've got one of the best vocational school systems in the country.
Yeah.
And so he's been advocating against the change. Myself and many colleagues have. There's been the bills filed, I want to say, last 2 or 3 sessions, and we were successfully able to stop them. But now, the governor did this through an administrative action, so we're going to have to see whether it goes anywhere or not.
What is that? Is that parental pressure?
Parental pressure, and there's different advocacy groups that don't feel that the school is benefiting the true students it was truly intended to benefit. So the question is, if you've got a son or daughter that is doing well with their grades, and now they have the opportunity to go through the interview process.
Sure.
They look at the student and say, okay, this student, it's not the school's fault that you have a student who's doing well that wants to go to a Voc school.
Right.
And they say, okay, we're going to choose this student. Well, there's going to be a lottery system now, and then that lottery system is going to have a clarification of who can be part of it or not. So the lottery system is, look, they're going to be mandated to take their complaint is, look, we're being told to take students who, they're out sick half the week.
Right.
There's all these disciplinary problems.
Yeah.
That the Voc schools were never intended to be a dumping ground
That's right.
for students who just don't want to
That's right.
take part in the system.
That's right.
And so this is where now. So with this lottery, and they'll be looking at racial demographics, And like, I look at some of my communities that don't have a high diversity
Yeah.
percentage. When I look at the towns of Millbury, Grafton, to 13 towns in the Blackstone Valley, or even if you go to Bay Path, which is Charlton, Oxford, and Auburn. You know, you might have a hard time meeting some of these numbers, and so I don't know. We'll see how that goes. We also did a fair share amendment.
Tell us about that.
Well, that's actually the surtax money, the $1 million.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the money. Yep.
There's a lot of money in that.
2.4 billion.
2.4 billion.
Billion. Originally, the
Wow.
estimates were 1.5.
I know.
And then there was the
millionaires did well.
and the millionaires were going to move.
Oh, yeah. They always
So
wanna
that
move.
hasn't
They always wanna
happened.
move, but they don't.
Yep. So that hasn't happened. So we gave 360 million. I shouldn't say we gave. 360 million was distributed to the Cares for Children. That's those are 3C grants that came about during the COVID era, and we're one of the few states to continue now to utilize that program, but with state funding.
What is the program?
Just grants for early education, childhood.
Gotcha. Okay.
Then we have 460 million for the Student Opportunity Act. So this is expanding the formula that we readjusted 5 years ago. 180 million for universal free school meals. This is something that the legislature does. No one talks about when they're coming back about the foundation budget.
Yeah.
That we're not, the state's not giving enough money, or it should be it needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Well, no one's factoring in the fact that we've now taken $180 million of spending off the backs of our municipalities now, because we're covering the universal free meals.
Right.
Then we got another 120 million going to mass education, 192 million going to child care financial assistance for families. We also did some earmarks in that.
I said that there was some more for Shrewsbury.
Yes,
Don't ask me what page it's on.
I was just going to see where Alex put those. I think, if I remember correctly, I think it went to special education for Shrewsbury.
No.
Yeah, okay, 35,000 to Shrewsbury Public Schools for capital expenses, 40,000 to the town of Shrewsbury for the purchase and installation of traffic signal preemption equipment. Now, this money can only be spent on transportation and education.
That's right. That's right. That
We
was the
also
whole deal.
we had $100,000 that went to the Worcester State
All right,
and
so
Quincy.
the money to Shrewsbury went to
Shrewsbury went to purchase and install traffic signal preemption equipment.
traffic signals.
Yep.
Okay.
And the funding requests all came from the town. So
Gotcha.
these weren't
Okay.
requests that we
All
created.
right. I got you.
And then 35,000 for public schools capital expenses. Then we did $100,000 to Blackstone Valley Tech for some capital expenses. They got some roof work that needs to be done at the
That's
school.
a good school.
Yeah, very good.
Real good school.
And then
That's in your district, isn't
Yes,
it?
yeah. Then we got 100,000 that went to Quincy and Worcester State. Central Mass is one area that doesn't have a cyber range. So a cyber range is basically
We've talked about
Yes,
that before.
yeah. So that actually has students in there with the screens,
Right.
and with all the software platforms that they can actually learn, and they actually provide cyber protection for municipalities.
Right. That's
So,
great.
Yeah, so we got $100,000 to hire a
Good.
coordinator to start to get
Good,
that program up
good.
and running.
You were pushing that for a while now.
Yeah, it's been
For
done.
a long while.
Yeah, so then I don't know where we stand for time.
We're doing good.
We're doing good? Okay.
I'll slow you down whenever.
We also did let's see here. Let me go back to the fair share. Also part of the budget, just so people know, $8.1 billion in the rainy day fund.
That that's amazing that the budget, the 60 bill,
Yep.
and we still got 8 bill in a rainy day fund, and you guys didn't touch that at all.
Nope.
That's amazing.
Yep.
You guys are doing good down there.
We're trying. So, just a quick thing on Congress, and this is because this does affect the budget. is going to potentially affect the budget with the passing of this, the Big Beautiful Act.
Yeah, right.
One thing that we had in there.
Passed by 4 votes.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that was in there, they were going to put a 10-year ban on the state's ability to regulate artificial intelligence. So myself, my House chair in the Senate, we got our colleagues in the committee in the Advanced Information Technology, Internet and Cybersecurity Committee. We wrote a letter to our entire federal delegation. Senator Markey took our request, and he actually went forward with it, and it was a 99-1 vote to remove that language from this one big beautiful bill.
Really?
And that would have stopped. I mean, if that didn't go, we didn't stop that, that would have allowed, that would have stopped states from being able to have any sort of regulatory control over artificial intelligence. Now, you look at, about a year ago, we did some language on a deep fake election bill that passed.
Yep.
We did some language on revenge porn.
Right.
There's bills right now in the committee to make sure that artificial intelligence can't be the overriding decision maker in healthcare.
Right.
That was a big thing. But so there's some other things in the bill that
All right, but you're not going to talk about them terribly much because we've got exactly 30 seconds left on this
Okay.
program. Okay? And with that 30 seconds, we're going to say,
see you next month.
I'm back alert, and we will see you in August. Oh my God, imagine that. Huh? August.
Just flying by.
Wow, it sure is. Okay.
Yep.
And it is so nice to be back in this wonderfully new, electronically perfect studio with Liz and Mark and all the troops. See you next month.